Has the funeral ended? Come back quickly. It's Eliza's birthday today, my dear daughter. Lori, my mother-in-law, informed me about Shelly's passing at only 5 years old on the day of her farewell. Strangely, she didn't attend her granddaughter's funeral and instead asked me to return for Eliza's birthday, her sister-in-law. I was bewildered by her behavior. Anger mingled with grief, prompting me to make a phone call. I'm Rel, a 33-year-old homemaker, married to Milo, who's 2 years older. We met through a friend 6 years ago and have been happily married ever since. We were blessed with our daughter, Shelly, soon after marriage. At 5 years old, she's at her most adorable age. It's heartwarming, yet her fate was tragically harsh. Shelly's health was fragile. 2 years ago, when she was 3, she started experiencing frequent fevers and colds. There was also swelling in her neck, which led us to rush to the hospital, thinking it might be mumps. After numerous tests and an agonizing wait, the doctors revealed the devastating diagnosis: malignant lymphoma, a type of childhood cancer. My world shattered, and I desperately pleaded, "There must be some mistake, doctor. Please tell me this isn't true." Despite the medical team's presence, I couldn't contain my tears. Immediate hospitalization was necessary. Even as we hurried home to gather essentials, I couldn't stop crying. Milo, my husband, cried alongside me but also urged, "We have to be strong. Shelly will pull through," his words filled with determination. We were briefed on the treatment plan, and I had to sign consent forms for procedures like blood transfusions and surgery. The grueling treatments commenced: endless IV trips, blood draws, transfusions, and chemotherapy. I quit my part-time job to be with Shelly at the hospital round the clock. Sometimes Milo would take time off work to visit, insisting, "You need to rest too, Michelle, or you'll burn out." During his visits, I managed things at home or caught up on much-needed sleep to keep going. During the initial days at the hospital, Shelly cried often, but gradually she adjusted to the routine, crying less as time went on. The nurses praised her resilience. Shelly didn't shed a tear today during her injection, they commended. Despite the challenges of hair loss and weakness from chemotherapy, she never complained. Instead, she greeted us with smiles and happiness. Drawing became her solace. "Mom, Dad, look." Shelly proudly displayed a sketch of Milo and me in her notebook. "It's wonderful, Shelly," we praised. Her lively chatter in her hospital bed uplifted us. When her immune system weakened, she had to stay in a sterile room. But after a month, her condition improved, and she could finally come home for a brief respite. "I want to go back to preschool," Shelly announced one day. So we took her back after a long hiatus. Watching her play with her friends filled us with joy. Later, when my mom visited, seeing Shelly lively and cuddled in her arms made it hard to believe she was sick. "Mom, this smells like home," Shelly remarked, sniffing a towel that had been airing at home. Suddenly, she complained of a headache. "Let me check. Oh, you have a slight fever. Stay here. I'll make some soup." After tucking Shelly into bed and rushing to finish chores, the doorbell rang. Glancing at the monitor, I saw Lori. I instantly regretted not ignoring it. Lori's unexpected visit left me speechless. I wanted to ask, "What brings you here?" but held my tongue. Normally, having a caring mother-in-law would be a delight, but Lori, Milo's mom, was the last person I wanted to see. I imagined her retort would be, "Do I need a reason to visit my son's house?" If I dared to ask, "Do you have a hobby of harassing your daughter-in-law?" that might just confirm her suspicions. Since the beginning of our marriage, Lori had continuously harassed me, criticizing my lack of higher education and my appearance, mocking my height and supposed lack of cuteness. Her ability to wield hurtful words astounded me. In the past, my father-in-law acted as a buffer, reprimanding her behavior, which made things somewhat bearable. But after he passed away during our second year of marriage, Lori's mistreatment escalated. Left unchecked, she'd play petty tricks, like ordering steak for me despite my preferences or turning off the hot water while I showered. Milo's older sister, Eliza, a successful career woman married to a prosecutor, was the apple of Lori's eye. She often compared me unfavorably to Eliza, making snide remarks about our differences. Eliza has a son, Jace, in 2nd grade, she'd boast. During Christmas visits, the contrast in Lori's treatment of Jace and Shelly was painfully evident. It seemed as though she couldn't see Shelly's charm simply because she didn't approve of her daughter-in-law. As I busily prepared soup, Lori barged in uninvited from next door. "Yes, Shelly has a fever," I responded tersely, hoping she'd take the hint to leave. But she persisted, commenting, "Such a delicate child. I wonder who she takes after. Certainly not our family. Your dad had cancer, didn't he?" "Yes, Lori, I've explained countless times. This illness isn't hereditary. While my dad did pass away from cancer when I was in high school, malignant lymphoma isn't genetic, except in certain virus-related cases. How many times must I repeat myself? Is she losing her memory?" In the end, Lori merely glanced at Shelly, made her spiteful remarks, and departed. I couldn't help but wonder if she was suffering from dementia. After checking on Shelly, exchanging a few sarcastic words, I left perplexed by Lori's purpose. Perhaps she was just bored. For a year, Shelly moved between hospital care and brief respites at home. After about a year and a half of intense treatment, she finally completed her therapy, and we welcomed her back home. She returned to preschool, and we even enjoyed a family trip to the aquarium, where she walked around with boundless energy. I never lost hope in Shelly's recovery. However, when she turned 5, a year after leaving the hospital, my worst fears materialized. She relapsed. The treatments resumed, including spinal injections, radiation therapy, and battles with pneumonia and high fevers. I did everything I could to ease her discomfort, even undergoing a bone marrow transplant for her. Sadly, my cells didn't take, and her condition deteriorated. Then, the doctor delivered the devastating news. "There's nothing more we can do. Further treatment would only add to Shelly's suffering." It was a heartbreaking realization that time with her was limited. We made the decision to bring Shelly home so we could cherish our remaining time together as a family. We indulged her every wish, from participating in preschool activities to playing with her friends. Despite her own struggles, Shelly's bright smile never faded, bringing joy to everyone around her. Mom visited frequently, offering her support during these difficult days. I had promised myself not to cry in front of Shelly, but sometimes emotions overwhelmed me, and tears would escape. During those moments, Shelly would ask, "Mom, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" Despite her own pain, she remained remarkably caring, showing concern for me. I pray for her happiness to last forever, for a miracle to save her, but sadly, my prayers went unanswered. Despite her outward appearance of health, Shelly's blood tests showed a worsening condition. She gradually lost the ability to walk. Yet we clung to hope, believing she would reach her 6th birthday. However, Shelly's health declined rapidly. She began to struggle with breathing, and the doctor warned us to prepare ourselves for the worst. Despite my efforts to remain composed, tears flowed uncontrollably. In a haze of grief, I whispered, "I love you," to Shelly. Despite her own weakness, she summoned the strength to utter her final words. As dawn broke and Shelly's condition worsened, the doctor tried desperately to save her. We pleaded for her to hold on, taking turns holding her in our arms, wishing for her to find peace. Shelly fought bravely, but eventually she slipped away from us. "Shelly, please respond. Open your eyes." I clung to her hand, which grew colder by the moment. There was no time to process my grief. I was immediately consumed by the whirlwind of funeral arrangements and preparations. Keeping busy seemed like the only way to hold on to my sanity. At the funeral home, I couldn't help but confront Lori, asking, "Are you not coming?" She simply replied, "The living matter more than the dead. Eliza is returning from abroad. It's her birthday today. You need to pick up the cake." Her callousness left me reeling, struggling to contain my anger. "At least bring a gift later. You must come, or I won't forgive you," I demanded. "As if you have the authority to forgive anyone," she retorted. Fed up with her excuses, I blocked Lori's number and reached out to someone for support. Despite the pain, the funeral was filled with people who came to bid farewell: hospital staff, Shelly's preschool friends, and my own circle of friends. Tears flowed freely as we mourned Shelly's passing, a testament to the love she'd inspired. We adorned her coffin with her beloved sunflowers, and her friends tucked heartfelt letters inside. Milo stood strong as he represented our grieving family. Several hours later, Milo and I stood outside his parents' house. Despite Lori's desperate pleas for help as we entered, we ignored her and made our way to the living room. Inside, Eliza's family and a few relatives had gathered, their eyes fixed on Lori with disapproval. Eliza was the first to address us, offering her apologies. "I'm deeply sorry, Rel. We had no idea today was Shelly's funeral." After blocking Lori's calls, I had reached out to my sister-in-law, Eliza. Despite the ongoing tensions fueled by Lori's behavior and constant comparisons between Eliza and me, we shared a close bond, akin to real sisters. As an only child, I cherished Eliza's presence in my life, and her son Jace often played with Shelly even during her illness. Eliza frequently visited us, showing genuine concern. Unfortunately, this year, Eliza's work commitments abroad coincided with her birthday, overlapping with Shelly's funeral. While we were preoccupied with arrangements, we had entrusted Lori to inform her side of the family. However, Lori's misguided actions led her to inform relatives about a birthday celebration for Eliza's return, omitting any mention of Shelly's funeral. Upon her return, Eliza reached out to me again, only to discover that the burial had already taken place, leaving them waiting for our return. Amidst the somber atmosphere, Shelly's absence was keenly felt as Eliza and others mourned her loss amidst the awkward silence. Lori's words cut deep as she callously suggested, "You can always have another child." The most insensitive remark imaginable. In response, Eliza, with a fiery glare, grabbed the cake meant for her birthday and hurled it at Lori's face. "Cleanse that twisted personality of yours," she demanded, dragging Lori to the shower room and soaking her clothes in the process. Amidst the chaos, when questioned about Lori's actions, I weakly explained. Lori kept pressuring me to rush back for Eliza's birthday preparations. The relatives reacted with shock and disgust. After being drenched in the shower, Lori returned, despised by everyone present. Defending herself, she blurted out, "But it's Eliza's birthday party. She's returning after so long. Shelly was already sick, not expected to survive. Surely Eliza's birthday takes precedence, right?" However, her feeble excuse was met with fury. "A birthday party? Preposterous. And you called Rel for that? If Shelly meant anything to you, how could you disregard Milo's grief over losing his daughter? Why did you fail to attend your own granddaughter's funeral?" Eliza's righteous anger was unleashed. "No, but," Lori faltered, unable to conjure a suitable excuse. It was then that Jace, her grandson, spoke up softly. "Grandma, do you really love your grandchildren?" "Of course I do, Jace. I love you and Eliza's child," Lori replied defensively. But Jace's next words pierced through the tension. "What does that mean? So Shelly, your granddaughter, wasn't loved because she was sick, but Eliza's child is loved because she's healthy? Are you saying Shelly didn't matter?" These words echoed the sentiments of Lori's brother and sister-in-law, who shared their own grievances about Lori's past behavior. With no one coming to her defense, Lori's presence diminished, overshadowed by the weight of her actions. "We're leaving, Milo, Michelle. Let's talk another time," I announced, exchanging heartfelt hugs with my supportive relatives. Eliza followed suit, declaring her decision to sever ties with her mother. "Mom, we're done. You always favored successful people like Eliza, never caring for Shelly." Milo confronted his mother sadly. "It's not like that, Milo. You didn't meet my expectations like Eliza did. You only care about those who do as you want," Lori retorted, her words laden with regret. As I handed Lori something beside me, it was a drawing of her made by Shelly. In the picture, Lori was depicted with a genuine smile. "Despite everything, Shelly admired you. She saw kindness in you that I never did. She was a pure and loving child, even during her illness," I explained, watching as Lori broke down, clutching the drawing tightly. As we left Lori's house, ignoring her pleas, we knew our paths had diverged irreparably. Later, my uncle-in-law's family visited us, offering apologies for Lori's behavior. While Lori seemed remorseful, the damage was irreparable. As my aunt-in-law wisely observed, Lori had always been troublesome, and it was unlikely she would change. In the aftermath of the incident, other relatives also distanced themselves from Lori. Despite her loneliness and regrets, her past actions had alienated those around her. As the days passed and grief settled in, I found solace in connecting with other parents who had lost children to the same illness. Reaching out to Eliza and meeting her brought relief, and Milo and I found comfort in adopting a puppy, a symbol of renewal and hope in the wake of our loss. As I grappled with the pain of Shelly's absence, I found myself longing for the day when we would reunite in heaven. But until then, I vowed to live a life worthy of her memory, carrying her love and